Many conservatives and those in support of this pure capitalistic society, they always have to find a way to justify the poor and the working class and minorities not having success in society. And many justify this fact by saying, the poor and those black people and Latinos, they just don't work hard. They're lazy. I mean, if they worked as hard as me, they would be in the same position I'm in. Yeah. However, that is simply false. It's like a race. And the rich have the best positions, and the poor and all those minorities are starting much farther back. The rich have a much higher chance than the poor and minorities of reaching the finish line because they started in a much better position than those farther back. Well, we have some statistics today that solidifies the position that we have here at PTD, that most minorities and those who were born in low-income families are poor in the present today because they were born with a very small amount of resources. And because of this, they were not able to compete with the rich in order to be successful, no matter how much they grinded and no matter how hard they worked. So the Working Poor Families Project analyzed a variety of data on this subject, and now we have some statistics to report. So nearly a third of all working families in this country, that is 10.6 million families nationwide, are low income, which for a family of three is just below $39,000 a year. And being a person of color in this country plays a huge role in being poor. So nearly a half of all working families of color are poor or low income. And this is at the same time in which for white working families, only 23% of them are poor or low income. And these are working families. They go out, they grind like a dog from 9 to 5, just like the rich. And yet most of them cannot afford to put food on the table for their kids or keep the lights on in their house. That excuse for why these people are in this horrific position of they simply don't work hard, that doesn't apply here. It's unsettling. But the report continues. 34% of African Americans and Latino families fall under the lowest income bracket or below just $32,000 a year. And this is compared to the Asian American and white families in which just 13% fall under the lowest income bracket. And good luck to those minorities who can't even find work. More than a quarter of the African American community is unemployed, but just 9% of whites are out of work. And a good reason why these working minority families are in these terrible positions are due to how low the bar of the minimum wage is. Many people of color have minimum wage jobs due to the fact that once they can even find work, they are not educated enough and qualified enough to be hired for these higher paying positions. However, the minimum wage is not enough to pay the rent in any state, and it's not enough to get a family out of poverty. This epidemic of poverty has reached over 24 million children nationwide, and 60% of them are people of color. And calling poverty an epidemic, it's not under any circumstances an exaggeration. Living in poverty alters a person's brain with changes that last far into the future. Poverty can harm your cognitive abilities, and this hurts your emotional processing, and it even increases your chances of developing a mental illness. An epidemic indeed. It keeps you locked into this cycle of fighting for your survival, unable to feed yourself and your family and pay for your basic needs. It hacks at you mentally and physically and emotionally. But society has allowed it to especially target the most disadvantaged, keeping them locked into this curse. It must be stopped. Increase the minimum wage and make college much more affordable for anyone who desires an education. Those two things can go a far way in making sure no one must ever suffer the evils of this epidemic of poverty again.